Okay, so let's perform some action and practice policies with my new account. So I'm going to go where I'm connected as an IAM user, Stefan, and I'm going to prove to you that I am an administrator by going into the IAM service. And what we're going to do is that we're going to create a group. So we're going to go to groups, create a new group, and call this one developers. Next step, create group. And here we go. This succeeded because now we can see the developers group in here. Now let's practice changing the permissions of our IAM user. So we're going to go to users on the left-hand side. We're going to find the user in the group admin. So we're going to click on admin. And as we can see here, the user Stefan, we can remove it from the group. And if I do so, then Stefan is not in the group anymore. The group does not contain any user. And so if I refresh this page on the right-hand side, as we can see, we're getting some errors. So we cannot view the users, we cannot view the groups, we need permissions. That's because if we, again, use the left-hand side, so we have the root user, and then we go into the Stefan user. If we look at permissions, there's no permissions applied to Stefan. So what we can do is add permissions directly to the user, although it's not best practice, but let's add permissions directly into the user. And then we can either add it to group or on the right-hand side, we can attach existing policies directly. So if we do so, we can look for specific policies, and I will just type IAM. And in IAM, if I scroll down, I have the IAM read-only access. So I'll tick this. And if you look at it, this is going to, by scrolling down, giving me full access to list and limited access to read. So we take this policy, and then we scroll down, click on next, and then yes, this policy will be attached to the user. Click on add permissions, and we're good to go. So now our user has IAM read-only access. And so if I refresh this page, as we can see now, the user, Stefan, can see all the users and can see all the groups and so on. So this is great. But if I try to take the developers group action, and then delete group, and yes, delete, again, we're getting an errors because we're not authorized to perform IAM delete group on this resource. So that means that this policy is working fine. Indeed, we only have read-only access. We cannot write, change, delete stuff in IAM. So let's take the Stefan user, and we're going to add it back into the admin group. And now if we look at the permissions, there are two permissions attached to my user. There's the IAM read-only access and the administrator access. And because the administrator access gives us access to everything, we can just delete the IAM read-only access from Stefan. And now Stefan has full control over my AWS accounts. So now let's have a quick look into the policies. So we're going to go on the left-hand side, and then let's have a look at the policy tab. So let's go into policies. And we have a list of, they're called managed policies. So that means that these policies are created by AWS and managed by AWS. So we have administrator access. Let's look at one we know. So IAM read-only access as well. And let's have a look. So in administrator access, as we can see, we have access to 200 out of 277 services, and AWS had services all the time. So if you have a different number than me, don't worry, the course is up to date. And if we look at the JSON policy, the document that defines the policy, as we can see, it's a very simple JSON policy. We have effect allow, action star, and resource star, which means allow any action on any resource, effectively making this an administrator policy. If we look at the IAM read-only access, this gives us access to 1 out of 277 services. And this is the IAM service where we have full list and limited read. If we look at the JSON of it specifically, we can see that, and I'm going to expand this a bit more. So we have IAM generate credential reports, IAM generate service last access details, get star, list star, and a few more. And so this is a policy that allows us to just read only from IAM. And so this is how policies are created. Now, if you wanted to create your own policy, you can click on create policy. And then you have two options. You can use a visual editor or write in some JSON directly. But if you use the visual editor, we need to choose a service, for example, again, IAM, then you need to specify the actions you want. So it could be all actions from IAM, or it could be, for example, list and read. For example, you can say list users and then get user. And then if we go into the JSON document and we have to, scroll down and say resources, and then we'll say all resources, and we go into the JSON, Now you can see that there's list users and get users on resource star that has been generated as a policy. So this is how you would create a policy, and we will be creating policy in this course. So we're good to go. But right now, I just canceled it. So that's it for this lecture. We've explored policies in depth. I hope you liked it, and I will see you in the next lecture.